Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up? It's the ManFUzed Podcast. I am Kay Lee, my co-host, Ben H.
What's up?
This is a Foo Media production, and if you don't know how to spell Foo Media, F-U, essentially. Today we got Tommy Breedlove, a Wall Street Journal and USA Today best-selling author. I'll bet that never gets boring hearing that, Tommy.
It will never get old.
No. The book is legendary, and he's also the founder of the Legendary Life Movement. He's a keynote speaker and business and mindset coach. Welcome.
Thank you, brother. We've had a great conversation thus far. I don't know if it's on air or off air.
Oh, it's on air. Probably cut it in at some point during. It might just be an excerpt. So we kind of just started talking before I even made this introduction. And we just kept talking. And I was like, all right, guys, let me just start it. So now we are officially starting.
Well, we were talking about cooking. And mountains.
Yeah.
And those are two of my favorite things. And if I could define the future of my life, I would want it to include those two things. And, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our purpose is we love it, plus we're talented at it, plus the world needs it.
That's it, man.
And then we turn our purpose into our profession by adding we get paid to do it.
We get paid for it, man. And then you're winning. That's how you
those
find
your
fulfillment
words,
in
Ben?
life.
No, this is I know it. I totally
You
get
should
it.
write a
Tommy
book, brother.
Breedlove.
You should write a book, man.
So, and we
I think I just came up with something great.
Ben and I, the other day when we were talking, I said, you got to get here Wednesday, 12 p.m. You can make it. Yeah. We got Tommy coming in. And then Ben and I normally, the way that I think we decided to do this podcast together is because we could just get on a topic and just run with it for hours and probably annoy everyone else around us.
I
And
was invited.
We were like, we just love his last name, Breedlove. Is that like a crest? Is that, I mean, like,
There
is that
should be
like
a
your
crest,
lineage? I
dude.
mean, like,
You know what I mean?
Breedlove. Like, can you come
with
up
like
with
the silhouette of a woman, you know what I mean? And like,
not-
Breedlove.
Maybe we come up with our own crest.
I
Yeah.
think so. I think it'd be
not
amazing.
Not either Scottish or English, like a real crest.
That's what I mean. Like
Yeah.
you come up with a crest.
I like that.
The Breedlove crest.
Yeah.
Like tattoos and
Yeah.
stuff. You know what I mean?
No one asked me if that name was real until post 40.
Yeah.
Like no one cared.
Oh,
until
well,
I
we
was-
did. That was like one of the first things we were like, he's a beast.
Yeah.
Breedlove.
Like this guy's obviously an animal.
Yeah.
Or a
We're
porn
bringing
star.
in
Yeah, or a
Breedlove.
porn star. In either case.
Yeah. And Ben's like, I love to breed.
Yeah.
And I'm like, absolutely. It's just a.
Well, it's one of those things like, you know, people always look into names have meaning. Like you have, I don't know, Potter. You know, maybe they used to be potters.
What'd you call yourself the other day?
Blacksmith.
You said you want to be Ben Barron. What if
Yeah, and
your
I said,
name was Ben
and
Barron?
so your name inspired me, and I was like, what if I could have a name like Breedlove? You know, what would I want it to be? And I was like, you know what? Ben Barron. Ben Barron's all ego, no self.
He invented his alter ego right there. And you should. I mean, it's something to embrace. You know what? I mean, like, there were so many
What
cool...
would yours be?
Probably just Christianly, just like... Actually, I said, what did I say? Oh, on the air, I had a program director, so my real name is Christopher, but I started going by Christian, and we had this program director
He loves
come in,
God.
and he goes, you got to choose a last name, and I go, Love. How about Christian Love? I could just be like, who wants some Christian love? I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
He was like, do you really want to say that? And I was like, kind of, but no, I guess not.
Well, I
At
think
least
we're-
a billion people would be all in, man.
Yeah. Some would probably want to kill me, and others would want to embrace.
Hey, you know what they say? If you can get half the country to hate you, you can get elected president.
Indeed.
That's true. Yeah.
I think we're assuming, too, that Tommy might not have a fantasy name because his name is Breedlove.
Yeah, you might.
He's probably
called-
never even thought about it.
He's like, I'm
called-
good where I'm at.
Yeah.
I like Breedlove.
Yeah.
I've been called T-Bone, Youngblood, T-Man. Probably some other words we can't say now.
You can say whatever you
But
want.
those three. Those
Yeah.
three. Dickhead.
T-Bone.
Whatever, you want-
Yeah.
whatever you want to call me.
Tommy T-Bone.
Tommy T-Bone. T-Bone.
So,
That's
you know,
cool.
I was going through your book. I hadn't read it all, but I've definitely combed through it, and I've done some research and stuff. And I love Ben and I, so I guess this podcast is kind of a hodgepodge of topics. I don't know if you ever listened to it or not and saw what you were going to get yourself into. So we are kind of all over the map. I feel like we talk about stuff going on in our personal lives, and we sometimes some common sense politics might come in and our perceptions of things. But I feel like we've been documenting this business concept that we've been building ever since, I guess, about a year and a half ago. But it always seems to, I feel like, take a turn towards whether it be self-help or it's kind of motivating at times, while probably irritating to some of the audience.
Obviously. Apparently, I'm a Andrew Tate wannabe.
Yeah, that's what someone called you. That was...
Well, we all want to be something, man.
Yeah,
I want to be something.
I feel like a lot of times it ends up getting, the topics get turned around into, is it motivational? Is it, inspirational stuff? It's stuff that, I guess, knowledge we've acquired over the years, and it's through mentors and, and being a protege.
So
which is something.
Also screwing up.
Screwing up. Oh, yeah, definitely failures. For sure. I fucked up plenty of shit. But then I've gotten a bunch of shit right. Hey, what did my wife got me for Father's Day? It was a cup that said, you know what, I could fuck up on everything else, but at least I don't have 3 ugly kids. I got 3 beautiful kids that are really good looking.
That's
so
true.
At least I have that. I did that. But I might not have anything else. Talking about mentors and proteges, and I was thinking back, I was like, I meet people who are excelling in many areas where I'm like, he's got something to teach. But nobody can be the whole, where I've had people from a business sense that I've gotten to work with, that I've been, I guess you'd say, a protege in some respects, but then I get a closer look at the way they handle their personal life and the way they treat maybe their wife or their kids, and you're like, well, I ain't taking after that. But being as a business person, I mean, they were definitely action-oriented, and they got shit done, and they were super successful. So it was like, while I might want to model him in that area, I definitely don't want to listen to him in this other area. Is that something that, I guess you're a life coach or a business coach for a lot of high achievers. So you see people who are at a super high level coming in. Is there like a common theme, that a problem that you see? They're all battling something.
Yeah, both men and women who are more... You don't have to be successful yet, but most of our community, I would say I'm a community builder more than anything else, is our typical human is high achieving and ambitious. They want to do shit in business. They want to get stuff done. They want to be successful. They want to make a lot of money. None of that's wrong, but the common theme I see from all of us, and I'm using that word very specifically, us, is usually it's at the compromise of your friendships, your relationship, and most of the time ourselves. We usually put ourselves last, and that can manifest itself in so many different ways. And so the whole point of Legendary, the whole point of that book, yes, we want people who want to be successful and want to make impact and want to live a life of significance, but we don't want it to do in lieu of burning the whole ship down, which I almost did twice in my life. Literally, that's how the book was born. What is that? A tragedy.
Right.
And hey, hopefully by reading this and applying these tools and hearing these stories of other people, you won't have to go through the same shit that I did in order to get to where you want to be.
Which is awesome. And I hate it that you had to go through tragedy. And I hate it that anybody sometimes has to go through those downfalls or losing. I guess my stepdad, who's no longer with us, he was super successful. And at one point, he was a pretty bad drug addict. And he used to tell me, he was like, Christian, I was a drug addict with a $250,000 a year income that I didn't have to work for. And so, but let me tell you, a drug addict spends the same amount of money, everything they got typically. Yep. And he's like, the elevator doesn't just stop here. Like it keeps going. And sometimes he was sober for 40 years, like after he stopped smoking crack or whatever he did, which he told me some funny ass stories, but he would admit it to you. He would be like, I smoke crack. It was my thing. But when you hear the story, you're like, it's pretty epic. Like I almost don't want to hear a picture perfect story. I want to hear that people overcame obstacles and beat the odds, because to me, that's a story.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to go through that shit in the moment, obviously. Yeah. And I'm sure you could look back and be like, well, those are lessons now, though. I'm glad that it made me who I am today.
And every human being on earth's got their shit, got their stuff. They got their insecurities, they got their fears, they got their deepest, darkest desires, they got their wants. And most people are going through something, man. If you're in a relationship, there's a chance you're going through something because relationships are so damn hard. So everybody's got their story. And I think what you guys do so well, and I think the world is craving it right now, is authenticity, man. Just speak your truth. Speak your tragedy, speak your triumphs, share some wisdom that you've learned through experience, not through something you read. And I think people are craving authenticity now more than they ever have, man. I think that's what you guys bring.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I think part of that, I've worked with Bert, and we are in the Bert Show studios. I am taking advantage and using my ability to use his state-of-the-art, beautiful studios because I wasn't going to invite you into my basement studio, but it doesn't look like this. Erica, we'd be all cramped in. Right? You'd be sitting on Ben's lap.
That'd be fun, though, man.
This might be awkward for 45 minutes.
I don't know. I might be on his lap. He's a little bigger than me.
True. However it was, but Bert has been so good. And I think working with him and, just trying to be your authentic self and open up portions of your personal life and your story, because that's the shit that everybody relates to.
It's what everybody wants too, man.
Yeah, nobody needs the fake.
Well, that's
shit.
an interesting thing that he said, like it's what everybody wants, because it's also what everyone is so afraid to do because they are afraid of the magical phrase, what other people are going to think. I've always been someone who did my best to push the envelope, but you do get caught in situations where you're like, maybe I shouldn't express myself in this way, or maybe I shouldn't say this thing or whatever it is, because I don't want people to think this of me. We're always worried about, it's like the world is a stage, right? And we're just kind of like players in the stage, I think is the way Shakespeare said it. And we all have like this role. I mean, we're kind of marked on our destiny somehow. It's a path that we go down, and there's tragedy on the path, and there's sorrow on the path, and there's happiness and excitement, and there's abuse, and there's opportunities to abuse, and there's everything. And what is it though about our culture that, in your opinion, gives people this perception that we have to have this outer image of perfection, like nothing's wrong with me. That's all you guys. And we can't just come together and be like, hey, bro, like, you know what I mean? I got that too, or whatever.
I think it's a combination. That's a huge question. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think, first of all, the need to be accepted is primal. Yeah. I think if we weren't accepted by our tribe way back when, we were dead. Yeah, if you were excluded by the tribe, that was bad.
Yeah.
I think we've got information coming at us so quickly, and our souls can't handle it, for lack of a better word. You think about the 24-hour news networks, the instant gratification from a hit on Facebook, the Netflix, the porn. It's all like this one big stew of instant gratification, instant dopamine hits. And then now everybody wants to be LinkedIn successful, or Instagram fabulous, or TikTok special. And all of those things, man, are just status. And now it's men and women. Men crave power, status, and respect. And how are they going to get that? How they look, their job, their money, and ultimately they want all those things to get them laid by the prettiest person out there.
Get laid and get paid.
Yeah. And then women want to be seen, heard, loved, valued, and respected. And women also have in my opinion, and so you can send me hate email, I won't care. But they also have to get everything done, but also look perfect. Because if they don't look perfect, never let them see you sweat, right? Which is not fair. And so I think we crave status, respect, power, because it gets us to the top of the food chain. And then we'll compromise everything on the way to get there. And in that process, we let people who don't matter. Now, I don't want to be out there and be this outlier who's just saying mean stuff to say mean stuff, but you got to live your truth, because it's exhausting not being authentic. It's exhausting wearing all these armors and masks of important guy, tough guy, life of the party guy, and I've worn them all, man, and it's fucking exhausting. I think we crave those things so much. See me, hear me, love me. And by the way, press like on Instagram.
Oh my God.
That we forget who we are. And to me, the definition of power and freedom is not letting people who don't matter. As long as you're living your truth, your core values, and you're doing the best you can to make yourself, those around you in this world, a little bit better place, and who gives a shit what everybody else thinks, in my opinion.
No, 100%.
I got 3 kids now, and I'm like, I just can't imagine, like,
having 4.
That too, man.
You can keep practicing for your 4.
Yeah, but no, I just can't imagine growing up. Like, I have a pretty good game, like, on social media, but like, the only reason really I'm on it is for business. Of course. And I'm less, like, I'm about to hire somebody to handle my social media because I've been so slack, because I've been so busy, but I give a shit not about it. At all. But my kids, I can already see my 11-year-old son, like, he's been wanting to start this YouTube channel. And I'm like, no, it ain't happening. And then he found a way around it because his buddy's dad created a sub channel underneath him that he could monitor. And so now my son goes and creates these stupid little videos. Well, these stupid little videos are beating my videos. And it pisses me off, but I can already see this pattern of him like going to log on to see the likes.
Yeah.
Oh, this one only got 500 or 10 or 1,000. And I'm like, stop looking at it, because I can already see, like, the last thing I want is his self-worth to be based on, did they like it or not? Who's they? People you don't even know. I mean, granted, there is objections to be made in cases where some of these people make millions and millions and millions of dollars, but then all of a sudden I get notified on my phone all the time that YouTube or so-and-so just died at 32. And I'm like,
Well, like talking about the mountains, you know.
way to switch gears, Ben.
But what I'm saying is that like the kids, I mean, it's such a different life for them now. And I look at it all the time. I'm like, we moved out of the city with my son to bring him to Milton. We bought a couple acres and, you know, and his life in Milton is incredibly different than it would have been in the city. But now I'm starting to feel like we actually didn't go far enough out because, you know, of exactly what you're talking about. And this is something that is really ever pervasive in these kids' society and they're growing up. And so there's two ways to look at it, right? It's like in one breath, hey, I want him to kill it. I want him to get a bazillion followers and be the next guy. You know what I mean?
Of course.
And so you don't want to throttle him back, but at the same time, like you said, you don't want to get him to get lost in the screen. Never know what it's like to sleep in a tent or hike up the side of a mountain or go fishing or swim in a stream or, you know, I have so many great memories as a child from all that stuff. I'm sure you guys get a lot of that up there.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing. And I think there is a formula, though, going back to what you were saying, Kaylee, is we can't look, and we all struggle with this. All four people sitting in this room, we all struggle with it to some, is we get our validation from external sources. Really, the true power is when we lead, love, and respect ourselves first. We find self-value in our own selves, in our hearts, minds, and souls. And we're not taught that, man. I'm talking mental strength, emotional strength. I'm not talking about religion, spiritual strength, what connects us to all that is. And it's okay to go out there and be world-class on YouTube. It's okay out there. But if you get your self-esteem from someone else, it can be removed from you so quickly. And we talk about, for us adults, the money, respect, title, cars, friends, your health, your family. It can all be taken away from you like that.
Oh, yeah.
In seconds.
Yeah.
Seconds. Trust me, I know. And then if you're standing in the fire and you don't have self-respect, self-confidence, self-love, and you don't know who you are, you will crumble and a lot of bad things happen from there. And so I think the key is getting young people, old people to start loving, respecting. And I'm not talking about arrogance. I'm talking about humility, not the loud, egotistical, see me, see me, see me, I'm important. No, it's I'm going to be okay. I love myself. I don't need another person, another human, alike, or that person to say, but we all crave the validation. It feels good. I mean, it serves our soul, but I think that's the key, and we're just not teaching it. And I think I got to be careful what I say here because I get really passionate about this. When we lean toward a specific religious group or especially a certain political group to give us our self-esteem and to put ourselves in that tribe, because they are built on shame. Their job is to scare you, shame you, and to say, hey, I've got you. And horseshit, they don't have you. They just want more power. At the end of the day, you've got to say, I've got you, and I've got my tribe around me, my inner circle, my outer circle, and these are the humans I'm going to do business in life with. I think when you do that, there's power. And Ben, going back to what you say, it's so odd to me that so many people look at a sunset or sunrise or a beautiful mountain, and they're not looking at it through their own eyes. They're looking at it through Steve Jobs' eyes. It drives me crazy.
God, me too.
And guilty as charged, by the way.
Sure.
Guilty as charged.
Yeah, me too. My wife does it to me all the time. Like
You go out on a hike and you're like, oh my gosh, look at that bird. Like, where's my damn phone?
Where's my beautiful
there goes the
bird?
You know what I mean? And like,
is that a pigeon?
What is it even for anyways? Because like, what are you going to do with the video? Nobody gives a shit like what you put on your Facebook. Like no one cares. It's only cool to you.
What's crazy,
typically it's just going to sit there. You're probably never going to see it again.
Well, it's funny. You used to have to take that roll developed at Eckerd's or some shit like that. And you'd have double copies and you'd be like, I don't like these. But now it's like, what do you got? 100,000 photos on your phone? And unless you have categorized and like, and some people might, I don't.
But it's literally nothing. Like the thing that trips me out is you take a phone, like a 1 terabyte phone, and it's completely full of photos and videos and emails. And I mean, it's full. And then you take a brand new one and they weigh exactly the same amount. what is this stuff, man?
Yeah.
It's like an alternate reality. It's like we're dealing with a different dimension almost.
Yeah, and it's super addictive, man. We're all building businesses, and our email is someone else's to-do list. Our text is just overwhelming and easy, convenient conversations. All the social media is about validation and see me, see me, see me. Add a little porn on top of that. Add video games on top of that, and it becomes something stronger than heroin. And I would question everybody here, including myself, when your phone's not around you for 2 hours, do you start looking for it or not? Do you feel the faint
For
buzz?
sure, dude.
Are you listening
2
for
minutes.
the ding? Right. Yeah.
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 2
They start-
minutes.
and that's the
Sometimes
same
I'm
stuff,
looking for
dopamine.
it and it's in my hand. Have you ever done that shit? Where's my phone? My wife's like, you're holding it, you idiot. And I'm like, oh shit, you're right about that.
Yeah, we need it to serve us and us not to serve it, man.
Absolutely.
Well, you put out a challenge, I believe, in your book about putting the phone down for a little while.
Yeah.
What is that specifically? I mean,
So for me, I want people to see the addiction they have to the email, the texting, the social, the video games, but also I want them to see the world with their own eyes. I want them to have a conversation with another human, go out and look at nature, the mountain, look at a fire. I call that God's TV. Go on a walk with a friend, have a human connection or a worldly connection with something that's not technology, something that's actually real. And again, people don't realize that the instant dopamine hits, the feel good hits, and they're not huge hits, but they're instant dopamine with all those things that make us feel validated and good. But if you go on a big hike and climb a mountain, that dopamine hit is so much bigger.
Oh
you
my
build
God,
a business, so much bigger. If you fail and then learn from it and go forward, it's so much bigger. And that's why doing hard shit is so much better than doing that easy, convenient, opening up a book and reading 5 pages as opposed to scrolling meaningless social media. Which one's going to pay the dividends in the long term?
yeah, absolutely.
the book.
The book, every time, all the
Every
time.
time.
By the way, Kaylee, I will read the book to you. You don't have to read it. I'll
Oh,
read it to you.
Oh, I love
He read
it.
it to me. $12.99.
You know what? I like absorbing the content both ways. You don't have to read it to me, but I would like to listen to your voice.
He read it to me as I was going to sleep last
Oh,
night.
did he?
Yeah.
Good night.
You know
my
what?
friend.
For many years, I think I might have been doing a lot of drugs at the time. This was many, many years ago. but I used to go to bed listening to The Art of War. And I had one of those little silver cassette players that was like the little recorders that you had that was like that big. But those things were so handy back in the day, right? And I just would flip that shit over. I'd like, if it went off, I'd wake up and be like, all right, let me reach down there and flip it over and press. It was just, it was so odd. That book is just so great.
It is so good, man.
So let me ask you a question. So I'm at a bit of a crossroads, and I have a feeling of what you might say, and I know there's a balance. I know probably for the high achievers that would come to you, they're probably seeking a balance.
Yeah.
I mean, work life, home life, family, kids, personal, whatever. But when you're like right now, like for me, Ben as well, like we are on the verge of critical mass. I mean, I would guess it was critical mass for me. So like coming out the gate this year, like the business potential and the way things are stacking is just so not only magnificent. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed that it's even taking this like turn, but I don't want to take my foot off the gas. And my wife is on me every night. Like, you are on the phone. I'm like, just please bear with. Like, let me do, like, is that the way to go about it? Say, babe, listen, give me 6 months. Like, let me go a little off the charts here. I might be missing some shit. I might be on the phone. I might seem like I'm not even engaged and I'm not showing up to stuff for my family or my kids. But when my kids when they're sitting down watching mindless TV at night before they go to bed, I might be working a little bit because, to be honest, I just don't normally sit down and watch a lot of TV. Maybe when I'm going to sleep, but that's about it. So is that okay? And I don't know, if I ask myself, am I really going to miss anything if I wait till tomorrow morning to answer?
Yeah.
But I feel like right now is just more critical, setting myself and family up for the future.
So I'm going to answer your question at the end. You asked me, is it okay? And I'm going to answer it in my opinion. It's not going to be a wisdom. It's going to be an opinion, my opinion. The first thing I would say to you both is you're in a spring. There's fall, spring, summer, winter. You're in a spring.
Ben's like, yeah,
Hell yeah.
I know this.
You are in a spring. And the fact that you're in spring is you're growing. You're reaching critical mass and you're about to be world class. First thing I would do is celebrate that, because you didn't say I have a sick kid, or I just found out or my mom's dying, I've breached some integrity. I'm losing a business deal over it. I mean, that's real shit, man. People do that. People make mistakes and things happen. And so celebrate. The first thing I say is be grateful as hell for
Absolutely.
it. Second thing I would say is make the main thing the main thing. And this is your priority right now. I'm not a work-life balance. I'm a whatever the priority is the priority. And I'm also a quality over quantity. High achieving guys who are builders, guys who are entrepreneurs, guys who are building businesses, they're usually going to spend most of their quantity of time and a lot of their quality in their businesses. So what I would tell you right now is if you're in a spring, which is hard to get to, it's effing, think about how damn hard you work to get where you are right now.
Oh my God.
Or into your real estate business or in the businesses that I own. I mean, it's hard as hell. People don't realize how damn hard it is to build that shit.
No.
And the fact that it's getting ready to explode, that is your priority. Now, if you had someone sick or your marriage was in trouble, that would need to be your priority if you wanted to save it. But what I would ask my family and my friends is grace. I would be grateful for it. But when you spend time make it quality over quantity. So a solid half hour with your children, fully focused, no phone, all in, good conversation, whatever their thing is, they're going to remember that forever. 3 hours of bullshit is 3 hours of bullshit. So prioritize your business, explode your business, go take it. I mean, you got to go take it because if you start putting your head on it, somebody else is going to take it from you. This is a competitive world, no matter what the media tells you. Go take it. But I would ask for grace, but then make the commitment that when it's our time, it's our time. But when you get to summer, and that's when things are just skating on, which it never is easy. Being a business owner is never easy. That's when more problems, right? And I'll also remind everybody that in the pursuit of simplicity, things get very complex really quickly, especially in the business world. But I would celebrate it. I would ask for grace. When you spend time with those that are important to you, make sure the quality is there. And in my opinion, it's absolutely okay.
Hear that, my wife, if you're listening to this, which she never listens to our podcast.
Our wives don't listen.
Yeah, no. She's like, do you think I want to hear your voice more than...
For the love of God.
Yeah, because sometimes she'll be like, I hear it at home, and then I get in the car, and I turn on the radio, and there you are again. And do you think I'm going to come home and then actually choose to listen to you and Ben just talk it up for another hour and a half about some bullshit? And I'm like, thanks, babe. Thanks. If I have to hear the word podcast one more time, I'm like, well, yeah, you're going to hear that for a long, long time. So that's good to know. And I'm trying to. And I think I am. It's just right now, I'm so... Because I'm like, there's so much that can happen, and I'm ready to do some big shit. I'm ready to take some amazing trips and give them an experience that, I mean, not saying I wasn't I had a bad childhood or anything, but we didn't go I didn't get to go out of the country and see the world. And I'd love to be able to take my now family of 5, which that ain't cheap. You go 5, that's an odd number. Yeah. It's they don't sell 5 packs of tickets. It's 4, and then you're going to have to pay full. So it's just expensive. Everything is so expensive. I want to crush it. And I
do want to challenge us, the 3 of us, and your audience, though. Here's something I want people to know. And I just read this book, and it's phenomenal. It's called The Gap and the Gain. So this is not mine. It's phenomenal. Right. What I want everyone to hear, though, is all of us humans are measuring ourselves against an ideal of who we want to be, the man and woman we want to be, the marriage we want to have, the business. And, if we have $1 million, we want 10 million. If we have $0, we want $100. We're always measuring ourselves to an ideal. And that's a scarcity lack thing because it's like swimming to the horizon or walking to the end of a hallway that has no end. And so what I want all of us to do, though, because we're chasing the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. And that's me, by the way, too. I want people to turn around every now and then and celebrate how far they've come. Look at the things that they have accomplished. Look how much they have grown. Maybe even do it. We do it as a team every Friday. So I am as guilty as it's charged. Next thing. Let's go be world class. Let's be elite. What's our next gig? What are we going to build? We're going to hire 10 more people. I'm just as guilty of it. One of our core values, and Erica's sitting here with me, is to turn around and celebrate all that you have done this week. How have you won this week? How have you showed up for yourself? And now I've even implemented at the end of the day, either out loud or in a journal, I write down the things I'm grateful for, but I also write down how I've won the day and how the hell I'm going to win tomorrow. And that helps me not constantly looking at myself as who and what and where I want to be, but who I am now. And I think we all got to be careful of that too, because we're never here celebrating how far we've come.
It's true. That's true. And whatever the success is, I mean, it didn't just happen overnight. It's been an evolution of things. If I could ask you, since you're involved in many businesses, you have, your crew, your team that really help you be who you are and probably allow you to be who you are. Without them, I'm guessing, I'm not saying you're a mess, but, your talent, you know what I'm saying?
They call me the butterfly. And they also send out a text of the train wrecking when I speak.
Well, that's awesome, though. It's a beautiful train wreck, right?
Right.
But it works. That's what I'm saying. Well, you can't deny that it works. So I am right now in the midst of, I have an executive assistant for the first time, which I'm so happy I have an assistant. I've been saying I wanted one for so long, and we're slowly ramping her up to where she's learning the process, taking stuff off my plate. Well, now we're
change your
looking
life, brother.
to hire 6 salespeople. In the beginning, it's going to be a commission-based structure, but I'm going to be generous. But I'm like, I kind of have an idea of how to lead, but what is it that you look for? Like, I mean, for instance, like to me, my assistant asked, what is it you're looking for? And I was like, first off, she's like, do you want, what education do you want? Like, I don't give a shit. I just need action. Give me action. And if they're not doing it right and they're teachable, that's the most important thing. Because if they're without the action, there's nothing. You can't move them in any direction where they're going to go. They're just going to move to the direction you want and stay there. And she's like, okay. I'm like, is that vague enough for you? I'm like, I just need action. So is there something, and I don't know if there is a recipe, like what is the personality test that, I mean, maybe it's in their resume, but sometimes their resumes cannot be, it's the test, I'm guess. I don't know. I haven't been.
We have a recipe. This is how we do it. And this has come through all of my mentors and all of my coaches. I'm not only in this space, I'm in the success mentoring space, but I surround myself with people who make me better. The first thing I look for and test for 2 things, motivation and core values. Everybody talks about motivate your people. Shit, you can't motivate anyone. Our job as leaders is to find out what they want, what their self-interest is, and help them go get it.
For sure.
So the first thing I'm looking for is work ethic and motivation. So we put this series of questions together, and they are kind of out there. It doesn't matter if it's the Legendary team or the Mountaintop Lodge team. And so we put this series of questions together. We're looking for attention to detail. We're looking for passion. We're looking for caring. And then we're looking for, are they going above and beyond, which tells me they're motivated. Sometimes we make them submit a video on why this is the greatest job they've ever wanted in their whole life. First thing is I'm looking for motivation and work ethic. I'm with you. I can teach a Labrador accounting. I can teach a Labrador administration, but I can't teach motivation and I can't teach core values. And when I say core values, we live and die by our core values. And it's a work ethic thing. It's an authenticity thing. And honestly, we want to turn people off from that. We're small. We're 13 people. We're like, woohoo, we're a small team. We're getting ready to go up to 15, 16 people. But we have our key people interview everyone. And not over there. She's auditing me over there. Erica's auditing me on this. But so what we're looking for is core values. We're asking certain questions. The third thing we look for is we do give tests. We give 2 different tests. We give the Enneagram test, and I'm trying to think of the other one that we do all the time now that the name has slipped me, but that's looking for competency. I don't want to give my financials and my accounting and my taxes over to my sales guy. I just don't want to do that. So that's the third thing. And so even when we measure people, so we're looking for motivation first. Are they part of our tribe or not? And it's okay if they're not. If they don't have the same core values, they're probably not going to be successful here anyway. Go find where yours match. And the third thing we're looking for is competency. And depending on the skill of the position, like a chief financial officer, you would probably want some history there.
Yeah, of course. So,
a whole bunch of other things. But, I want my surgeon to have been to medical school.
Absolutely.
However, for the most part of what we do, it's not critical life or death. And then at the very end, they won't let me interview anyone, by the way, because until the end, because I'm optimistic, I'm a salesperson, and I hate compliance. So I don't want to get involved in that shit. I just want to hire everybody.
Right. Give them a chance. Give them a chance.
And if I like them, they're already hired. And I don't want to hire who I like. I want to hire. And I hate the expression that our business is our family. Our businesses have become our family. But you can't choose your family, and your families are most likely dysfunctional as shit. And if you can't find the crazy one in your family, you're it. I want a world-class team that becomes my family.
Yeah.
And so we're looking at all of those things, and that recipe there, from longevity to productivity. Now, we let some people slip through, usually because of me, because of my nonsense, but some people slip through. But I think if you follow that formula, you will be successful in the long run.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
That is good stuff.
The personality testing, those tests, that's a big deal.
I'm trying to think of the second one, which has been really good. It goes really in, can they do the job or not? Final test was culture index.
Okay.
So it's the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, and the culture index. And that culture index tells us, can they do this job or not?
You know what? Chris Tuff, which I know is a good friend of yours, another author, another keynote speaker. Yeah. He came on the podcast a while back, and he had this 4-question test, and that he had come in and kind of read for the, I guess some of the results for the bird. All these 4 simple, stupid questions.
Yeah.
And he like pinned Ben to a T and was
Yeah.
like, you're this, that. And Ben's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like,
That's the culture index, and I learned that from Tough.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if one of the, and I didn't remember what it was.
That was it.
Like, I'm like, how are you even, and he's like looking at these little charts. I'm like, how are you even reading this shit? Like, what does that mean? But it's insanely accurate. Like, to an extent, it blew my mind. And he's like, this test costs like $10,000. And I was like, oh, wow, I don't have any money. Ben, help him out, man.
I'm all out, bro.
Well, let me hold some.
I got to wait for a closing.
Yeah, right? I swear, if it doesn't blow up at the table, I'll have some money.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I think that's great stuff. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring people with us, because the ride is happening regardless if they jump on or not. At the same time, you can't drag people. I won't drag people.
No, you can't, man. And they will kill you. You've heard the old cliche, hire slow, fire fast. Well, I have been the exact opposite my whole life, and it has cost me so much money, so much time. I'm way too loyal. I'm naturally optimistic, so I see the best in everyone. I'll have my mentors, my executive team, people like her saying, hey, this person's got to go and got to go. Now I'm like, oh, but give them one more shot.
Toxic.
Give them one more shot.
They are a
got this.
cancer eating us alive from the inside, right?
But they say now, man, the wrong hire and then losing the right person can cost you up to 6x their salary. And so that's real money, man. That's real ROI. So hiring is so critically important. Making sure they're not fitting your culture is so critically important. But even more important is keeping and retaining them, which is so hard these days as well.
Yeah, and I think while you were in the bathroom, Erica and I were talking, and it was like, you want to create a team that is, you want to treat people so good and take care of them as family. I mean, maybe better than some,
maybe better
than some people's families, obviously, to where they don't want to leave.
Yeah.
They're in this mission, whatever the mission is or cause or whatever. And at that point, you're already impacting people's lives because you're spreading your own gospel. I mean, you're spreading the word, your word.
Yeah.
And obviously a lot of words that people that have come before us.
None of that book is mine, man. I learned that from somebody else.
No, I mean, no, but
I just put it in my flavor.
But that's right. Exactly.
True.
But that's what it is.
That's what we do,
But
though.
when someone picks it up and reads it, they don't give a shit if Napoleon Hill said it or if it's Robert Kiyosaki or any of these other great teachers or that have this great wisdom. There's been a path laid for us. And 100%. It's like, we observe it, embrace it, and then share it in our own way. And I think that's what makes it authentic.
Agreed.
100%.
And I think it's,
and I think owning your own shit, not being the guru on the sage, the sage on the stage. And we have a saying in our business is our hypocrisy knows no boundaries. Our hypocrisy knows no. And I had a key teammate call me out one time. She goes, we don't actually sleep. We just write about it. And I was like, oh, that's code for, hey, man, we got to pull back a little bit. You're killing your people, man. So, I have written a book that I aspire to live by. I have written a book I will never live by. I am as flawsome as the next person, flawed and awesome. The key is to be authentic when you own it. Be able to people around you being able to call you on your shit when you're not in and doing the best you can at living up to who you want to be and where you want to go. And if you do that, if you show up and do what you say you're going to do and honor your core values, which is hard. It sounds simple. That shit's hard. Yeah. But if you can do those 3 things, you will be successful and sleep at night.
Yeah, I think being able to be called out on your shit and not getting defensive about it, being like, oh yeah, I better work on that a little bit more because you get off track where you don't want that in your business or in your life. But at the same time, you could be doing the same shit and just not even be paying attention to it. And it's like, hey, you might want to check yourself real quick.
Or drinking your own Kool-Aid, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we have this douchey test. Is it good douchey or bad douchey?
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And
Please tell.
sometimes Danielle or Brooke or Sean or Erica will come back and whisper in my ear. They'll go, hey, that was bad douchey.
Yeah.
Okay, so can we elaborate on an example of bad douchey?
Let's draw the
versus
line
good
between
douchey?
good and bad douchey.
Yeah.
Well,
that would be like, well, never mind.
You want to self-promote. If you're not going to promote.
That was douchey.
That was douchey right there.
If you're not going to promote your business and who you are as authentically as you can, like you want to own who you are and promote yourself to a point. But if I'm not picking on anybody, but what doesn't relate to me is the guy who's a guru in real estate, who's sitting on the plane burning $100 bills, I would consider that bad douchey.
Yeah,
I don't think that sets the example.
Right.
Is, you want to be self-promoting. You want to say you want to push it to the line and have fun doing it. But the moment you become something that you're not, that it can actually damage other people, to me, that's bad douchey.
Are you talking about sitting on the plane, burning it like a private jet?
Yeah,
okay.
Burning hundreds of dollars of bills.
Okay, all right. So
to me, that would be bad douchey.
Yeah.
But kudos to that particular person who I've read their books. Their books are awesome, but that they're able to do that. But what example does that set?
Oh, I know who you're
for
talking about.
up-and-comers.
Now I know who you're talking about. He's talking about Grant Cardone.
And I love his books. I love his work. But to me, what I love about Grant is when he talks about all the things he went through to get where he is.
And what you have to do.
Yeah, and
I
and
love
how
his
hard he works.
instruction manual and how hard he works and stuff like that.
And by the way,
I
when
agree
I'm
with
down on myself, the first book I pick up is 10X, man.
100%.
Yeah, because I want Grant to scream at me for 3 hours, and I feel good about myself.
Exactly.
No, and I love that. Like, to me, I get inspired.
Cash is trash.
That's right, baby.
What's his name? What's the that I love? The billionaire guy, the coach that's always screaming at people. Like,
Dan Pena.
I love Dan Pena.
Have you seen Dan Pena? Oh, my God, this guy.
And he's like, I'm like, what?
This guy.
These fucking cunts. And I'm like, what? I'm like, that's
But he's earned his way and able to do that, right? He's earned his
I want
way
to
in.
be. I want to get yelled
He's like,
at
none
by
of you
him.
cunts can talk like me. You're going to get arrested if you try to talk like me.
And he's right.
I'm like, I want to be in that class. Because, see, I love that. It's like my son, and something I've observed, because not that he gets yelled at a lot, but they'd be playing travel baseball, and he's 11. And coach, and not that his coach was like an abuser yelling, but there were times where coach would get pissed off. And if something happened that shouldn't have happened, the coach gets onto him, yelling at him. And now this coach, when he got on to other kids, some of these kids come off the field crying. My son got yelled at many times. He'd come off, and later on, like, hey, did it bother you when the coach yelled at me? Coach yelled at me? Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, maybe he did raise his voice at me. I wouldn't even it ain't bother me any. I've always felt that, like, and I guess it was even my program director, like, when I first started working at the radio station, before I even got in with the Burt Show, I was 29. I was like, I want to be on the radio. So I got my foot in the door. I got a meeting, and I was being introduced. Like, oh, this dude wants to be on the radio. I'm like, great. When do I start? Like, what do you want me to do? Who needs help? And I got you. And I got my foot in the door.
And you probably did it for free.
I know the power of delayed gratification.
Oh, yeah.
And some people financially couldn't do it because, it's a pay thing. And obviously you got to make money. I fortunately had already owned a business. I owned, I don't know if you ever heard, you've been in Georgia for a long time. I used to own Psycho Tattoo 2 in Sandy Springs.
No kidding. Oh, yeah.
So when I dropped out of high school, I started working with Dino Cook at Psycho Tattoo in Marietta. I was basically, the day I got hired, which was another cold call, I want to be a body piercer. But I ended up becoming their full-time body piercer. And I mean, dude, that wave of business, like when I got in, I was 18 making $80,000, $90,000 a year piercing people's genitals.
That's awesome.
And it was fucking mind-blowing.
Yeah.
When I decided I was going to be on the radio, I had a certain amount of income. It wasn't anything that I was going to retire off of, but I could pay some bills. So I started working for free. But yeah, 2.5 years. I think I was, not every day, I was playing the corporate game. I was showing up. Sometimes I would show up, literally walk around the office, say hi to people, and walk out the door. Just so they could see me every day. And it was just this game, and I knew how to play it. Motivated and ambitious, but not too pushy. Can't be creepy. So you got to play the game. You got to learn when to kind of disappear. You're not looking to take the spotlight at any given chance and grab the microphone given to you, because then you'll be seen as you don't get your shot. But it was just going through that process, that delayed gratification that's just so important, I feel like, in anything. And
yeah,
that's
and
what
I think that coach, man, that's actually, as long as it's not on abuse, but I think we need to let our children scuff their knees. I think we need to let them fail. I don't think we need to save them, because life is fucking hard, man.
Yeah. No, and
it
if you
is so
fuck
hard.
up, you might get yelled at.
Yeah, and you might get yelled at, or even worse, it could have even bigger repercussions.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're just talking Little League. So you might not get to pitch next inning, but pick yourself up. Learn from it. That's, this coddling. And even Burt says it, Burt Weiss term, the wussification. I mean, it really is. Right. It's like this coddling, and just let them fail, let them get hurt. Ben, I know how you parent, and it's like, get the fuck up.
Well, Jack recently hurt his leg, and he's been limping around. he didn't want to go to basketball practice. I'm like, you are going to basketball practice. You don't have to run, but you got to sit out there. You got to shoot. You got to dribble. You got to show up. You're going to basketball practice. And all of his coaches were like, that's awesome that you brought him in. I'm like, what was I supposed to let him sit on the couch at home?
That's how you become a pro.
Like he's going to be a man one day.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like,
and if he can't
you
play,
don't get to you don't sit at home because you got a little limp. But you get out there and play through it.
Or you are there for your team, just even as support.
100%.
Like, you might not be able to, you might try and they might be like, sit your ass down, you know, but you're there to support. You are there because you are part of that team.
He supported
even if you're injured.
Last weekend during a game, he supported the
team. And that sucks to be on the sideline. Nobody wants, I mean, there are so many athletes that have to get injured every single day, that have to end up, getting millions of dollars that have to sit and just watch. I couldn't imagine having to sit on the sidelines of a football game or be in the dugout and not be able to play in the World Series.
Like the Florida State quarterback.
When you have worked so fucking hard.
To me, though, I mean, going back to all of that, first, it's just amateur hour right now. The first step in being a pro is just showing up, man.
Yeah. A lot of times what makes people world class is that they just never quit.
Perseverance, man.
They just kept going. Everybody else quit. You're the only one there now. So now you're the
longevity, man.
You know?
I've said it before. I don't know if it was Harrison Ford was talking about his acting career. He said, I just never got off the fucking bus.
Right.
I got on the bus. I was the only one that didn't get off.
Yeah.
Don't ever get off. I mean, I think there's a level of self-awareness. Like if I, after years of going through radio and I wasn't getting any, and at the time, for me, the fuel wasn't money. Like there were times where I was getting a little frustrated. Obviously, anybody would on a couple-year journey. I had achieved some things, but I wasn't, the money was starting to bother me. I need to kind of start bringing in something. But then it was like, and I'd be like, this fucking shit ain't happening fast enough. But then I'd get that compliment or that, whatever it was, that praise, that validation that I was on the right track. Just keep going. And it was almost better than money.
100%.
Because it was fuel. I was like, okay, that's my guiding light, that I'm moving in the right direction. And some people might not be self-aware. Those moments, like, and I thought I had written it down, but I thought about it. I was like thinking about asking you, is like, did you have like that aha moment? It's like, you go down this path or this path. It's like that moment that that is shaped.
Yeah.
It was just so monumental. Some people can see it when it's kind of right in front of them, I feel like, as like this looks like to be a monumental choice or path or moment. And sometimes you never know. Like you couldn't even see it coming, the way it was going to end up playing out. Did you have personally?
I've had two, and I want to dig off some of the things that you said there. The first actual biggest problem with the human race is self-awareness, man. Truly knowing yourself. I think so many of us are unaware of who we are, where we're going, who's coming with us. We don't know why we feel that way. We don't know why we're sad. We don't know why we're unsuccessful. And to me, the number one key in life is self-awareness. And I want to be very candid and authentic. There isn't a week that doesn't go by in our two businesses that I don't look up at the ceiling and go, can I do this shit? Can I take one more hit? The nuts. Can I take this one more hit? Is anybody really listening to me? It's that fraud. I feel like, why me? But then I'll get that compliment. I'll get that affirmation. I'll see a life change. I'll see someone on our team just be world-class and badass. And it's just the motivation I need. We all have that, right?
Yeah.
But getting back to it, I had two aha moments, man. The first one is when I was a kid, I grew up in the South Side of Atlanta, and I thought I was going to be the first person in my family to go to school. I had 4 or 5 scholarships. And man, I ran around. Unfortunately, I grew up in and around abuse and violence and became that. And instead of going to school, I committed a violent crime at 18, was looking at 7 years in prison.
Oh, shit.
Really cool moment there, though. I ended up dropped to heavy misdemeanors, but I was sentenced to 2 years and spent my 19th birthday incarcerated. That was aha moment number one. Yeah. That was aha moment number one. Luckily, an African-American gentleman saw something in me, a 40-year-old, and I was 18. Called me Youngblood. Remember I said Youngblood earlier?
Ah, yeah.
And with his help and guidance, picked me up. But fast forward, so I went into the financial world for 16 years. And at 36 years old, you'd have looked at me and I had the suit, the fancy car, all the good stuff. And you said, hey, this guy's got it all going on. But inside I felt alone, angry, insecure. I never was comfortable being with me because I never dealt with that shit as a kid. And so when the money, the fame, the corner office didn't fulfill me, I literally lived the Wolf of Wall Street lifestyle. And you would know the place because you're Atlanta. And I woke up in a ditch in downtown Atlanta near Ponce de Leon. I'm just going to leave it there. Yeah. Leave it there, looking at the blue sky thing. And my crossroads is I don't know if I'm going to get half dressed, but was in a suit, half dressed. Yeah.
Pants on or pants off? Which
pants were on.
All right.
Pants were on, but they might have been undone.
Yeah,
they might have been undone.
Okay, so, as long as they weren't just gone.
They might have been undone. But at that moment, I was like, I don't know if I'll get a chance 3. In that moment of self-aha, I was like, I don't know who I am, but I'm going to figure it out. So with therapists, with counselors, with putting good people around me, I started becoming self-aware of who I could be, my blind spots, my unknown potentials, and candidly, all the masks I was wearing to try to pretend to be something I wasn't. And over these last 14 years, I've worked so hard at being self-aware, so hard at being authentic, and so hard of just being Tommy, because when I try to be something or someone else, it's fucking exhausting, and I usually fail. And so for me, that self-awareness, knowing who you are and where you're going and who's coming with you is so critical. And I feel like that's another thing we're not doing. We're trying to outsource who we think we want to be without knowing who we are. So yeah, I'd had 2 aha moments, man.
Yeah.
That's major, man. The second one too is really big, because I think a lot of us, myself included, we enter into the business world as young men and we see the cars and the suits and the money and all those things. And it's like, you feel so far away from that. You feel like that's who I want to be. That's what I want. That's the type of freedom that I want to have in my life. And then once you get there, you realize that it's actually, you were more free before you even started. When you were looking and you thought you were looking up at these guys, you were actually more free before you even started this thing than you are right now. And the difficult part about it is, how do you get out of it? And that moment that you had seems like a moment that really, you kind of have these moments where you get shocked out of things.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like, whoa, kind of like Kaylee said with the aha moment. But sometimes it gets confusing. I mean, what you referenced originally with your business, you just kind of look up at the ceiling and go, how am I going to get through this? One of the big things that I think we all go through that. And I know I do. And talking to people always makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Just talking to people.
And talking to other people like us.
Yeah.
We know that we don't have all the answers. We haven't got it all figured out. We've got our blind spots. And I think that's why we've built this community is, if we had all the answers, we'd already done it. Now, why don't we put other like-minded humans, men and women around us, to share some wisdom, to do life with, so that we hopefully learn from their mistakes and don't take 10 steps back. Maybe we only take 2 steps back and 8 steps forward. So it's tough, but I will say this, man, and I can't touch people and make them believe it. And you guys maybe attest to this or didn't. When I was in that ditch, when I was telling you I had a major salary and a big corner office and shiny suits and all this stuff, and I'm a money is important guy. If I said it wasn't, I'd be lying to you out the.
I mean, it buys you a lot of choices.
And I've heard this too, man. If someone says money is not important, run from them because they're broke. But man, let me tell you, I started working on me. I'm talking about mind, heart, body, and soul, like self-confidence, self-respect, self-love, true courage, and humility. I never planned on leaving the financial consulting world. Hell, I was a senior partner, I was on the board, man. I was an international practice leader. But my money doubled, my self-esteem. I went from being one of the most hated people to one of the most beloved. But more importantly, I found peace. I found this presence and I found this humility in my life. That doesn't mean I'm still not pushing. But I'm telling you, man, people want to put themselves last. I can't tell you the data of how many men and women who are ambitious, that if they just start doing small things every day, from the amount of success and happiness that they can reap, the compounding interest that pays, as opposed to just fucking pushing and pushing and pushing. And when I get here and when I have more of this, I'll be happy and successful. That's a fucking lie, man.
Yeah.
I've lived it. Yeah. And I'm still pushing. I got to protect and defend the fort first.
Right. 100%.
Yeah, I mean, money's important, but the material things, I mean, it does give you that dopamine. Like, everything's shiny for a second, but it gets dull pretty fast.
And you were talking about the watch, man. The 2 or 3 nice watches that I have, and they're nice. I'm not going to lie to you. But there's an experience and a story behind each one of them.
That's
100%,
awesome,
man.
You know what I'm saying? So when 100%. I put it on, I remember those 3 men or why I bought that day to celebrate something. So there's an experience with it.
How do you stay grounded, like, in gratitude? I mean, how do you keep that practice? Like, I can understand when things are going well, it's like, oh yeah, I'm super grateful for all this. But how do you stay grounded in your practice of gratitude when stuff is going sideways?
So for me, I have to formally do it. So not only do I formally do my gratitudes every morning, it doesn't matter how bad things have gotten or how tough they've gotten, or, you know, I've lost a parent this year and getting ready to lose another parent.
Sorry to hear that.
Think life has happened this year, right?
Yeah.
And if you look for the beauty in the darkness, the rainbow in the storm, I know that sounds cliche, man, but I have to formally do it. I formally do it. So every morning I write them down. You can't see her on camera, but do I write them down? And our team every day, our opening meeting every day, we talk about gratitudes. What were we grateful for today? So we force ourselves. It becomes what we're doing. It's a habit that becomes what we don't realize. And I'm getting off script a little bit, but we don't realize our brains. We think our brains and our conscious mind is driving the ship. It's really our unconscious. It's the stuff that we don't know. It's like, I don't want to eat that entire pint of ice cream. Why the fuck did I eat that pint of ice cream? It's because our subconscious.
Tasted so good.
When we do gratitudes and we do visions and we do meditations and we work out, we're building our heart, mind, and soul muscles, and we get stronger. And then gratitude, positivity, abundance becomes a way of life because we're surrounded by negativity everywhere. But when we create the habits and we create the unconscious thoughts of abundance, positivity, gratitude, it becomes kind of a way of being. And you start feeling that negative energy come up quick.
Right.
I went into it this morning, caught it within like 3 minutes, apologized for it, owned it, and moved forward.
Right.
Happened to this morning. When I get into a negative Nelly, woe is me, bullshit, you instantly, it becomes to where you feel it and bring yourself back.
Right.
But man, I'm telling you, what I don't like is people usually start self-improvement, self-development, leadership development, business, like working on their businesses when things are bad. I say not only do it then, but really do it when the season of spring's like really double down then, because it's not if life's going to happen, it's when, and you will be so much stronger and better when you do it. So I'll get off my soapbox now.
No, was this something that set you off this morning, or did you just sometimes you wake up and you're just like, fuck? Yeah, I mean, it's just like,
something that set me off.
It just seems like today's going to be a shit day. I don't know what it is yet. And a lot of times it could be technology. For me, sets me the fuck off. If something's not working the way I need it to when I need it, I'm like, which is really, if you think about how people had to do shit like like a long time. I had to drive my horse and buggy to fucking deliver that message. And I'm like, okay, but
it's usually technology or a human. And the more humans you have around you and the more humans that serve you and you serve them, the more complicated and complex it gets. And I just maybe have gone on a venting spree, and I'm like, pull yourself back, man. Get your shit together and let's just move forward and apologize for it. But I saw somebody lose their fucking mind because the internet went out on a plane recently. I'm like,
really?
How first world problem is that?
Yeah. I mean, no, I wouldn't be. That wouldn't set me off. Like,
or
maybe it wouldn't. I'm typically not.
Like going off on the flight attendant like she's some IT guru.
Oh, I would never.
Like she's an IT guru.
No, I don't treat service people that are waiting on me ever. I mean, like most of the time, it ain't her fault. Like, what the fuck do you want her to do about it?
Right.
Get under the plane and fucking put some. Yeah.
So now you've got to sit still, or maybe watch a movie, or maybe read a magazine.
I mean,
the alternatives are, and the fact that you're going.
How about rest, sir? You might need some rest.
Indeed. And you're going 500 miles an hour, 30,000 feet. Just be thankful for that.
Yeah, right? Yeah, that's a pretty good thing. And maybe be happy you're going to land and walk off the fucking plane. Didn't you, like, what was it, Alaskan Airlines? How scary would have that been if, like, the piece of the plane just, like, broke open? Like,
what about the dude that was sitting right next to it?
I heard that they didn't show up on that seat. I could be wrong, but I thought the Burt Show was actually talking about it, like, where that seat was it the emergency
I don't even know.
exit?
I don't know about what y'all are talking about at all.
Like, Alaskan Airline was on
I don't watch the news.
I'm plugged into the Burt Show, so I have to listen to
if it's important enough, the people around you will tell you.
It's 100% true, man.
Well, that's why you're here.
Someone showed me, because I fly all the time. They showed it to me. That's how I found out.
Hey, right before you get on the plane, look at this.
Look at this. That seat was empty, but the middle row was occupied.
So what we're referring to, was it like the emergency exit of the plane
blew off like in midair.
No.
You know how you see in movies where people get sucked out and shit? That's what the fucking door did.
But nobody got sucked out?
No. I think it held pretty good. I could imagine like there was probably like some suction, like wanting to yank them out. But yeah, that's pretty fucking scary. I don't think
that would be scary. Well, I would
great.
like to hear more about the Mountaintop Lodge.
Yeah, bro.
Did we talk about that?
No, we haven't talked about your retreats, and we could kind of talk about that for a second, and then we can wrap it up. I know you guys got a wine thing maybe going on if you decide to do so.
Which is related to the Mountaintop Lodge.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool. So
do you do the retreats there too?
That's where we do our foundational retreats.
Okay.
And then we do our big business events. We're doing our big business event in Tampa. The Mountaintop Lodge, I'll tell you what it is, man. It's a boutique hotel in North Georgia Mountain. Literally sits on top of a mountain. It's gorgeous up there, man. Come visit us. Our tagline is, we've created a place that we don't want you to leave. It's just peaceful, goodness, beauty. It's an hour outside of Atlanta, which makes it feel like it's a million miles outside of Atlanta in the Appalachian Mountains. It's been a dream of my wife to create an experience like that. I would call it an experience more than a hotel. So come up, sit in our wine garden, have a glass of wine, bourbon, have a beer or cigar or a cup of coffee with me. It doesn't really matter. But we now live next to it. It's just beautiful
really
up there.
cool,
But
man.
that is where we host our foundational retreats for men and women to help them be more clear, to help them find more purpose, but to also help them to know who they are, where they're going, who's coming with them. It is a clarity and connection retreat where we come together in a full immersion experience for 5 days. And you just, when you leave there, you feel world-class and badass and ready to conquer the world, man. So
That's
we wanted
awesome.
a home base. It's a cash flowing property. Those
No,
of you guys,
yeah, that's
I mean,
awesome.
it is
That's
a
the way to do
operating
it.
hotel. But when we shut it down for the work that I do with, our ambitious entrepreneurs, executives, or aspiring entrepreneurs, executives, it's just a place where we can control everything from A to Z, from the food experience, how they wake up, to the coffee, to the rooms. And so we've procured this experience not only for our guests, but for the people who come through for the legendary programs. And it's just been a beautiful addition to what we're doing as a family and then what we're doing as companies.
So
That's really cool.
did
So
the-
is it open every day? Sorry. It's
No,
open
no,
every
no.
day.
Yeah.
Can I come up there and have coffee?
Yeah, absolutely. Come out there
Any day.
Any day, brother.
I'm never
Any
going to
day.
leave.
All right. I'm
But you got to
coming
make
up.
sure I'm there, man.
Yeah,
We got to
I'm
have coffee together.
Yeah, I would love that. I'm going to get.
Why are you there and I'm not, Ben?
I'm going to be there. and be
Could
like,
you imagine him walking in there like, sir, can I have a cup of yes.
where's
And we have
Tommy?
a selection.
next week or two, I'll come
But we'll
up.
give you the tour. I mean, we'll give
I'd
you the
love that.
full bore tour. And the best tour guide we have is sitting right over there.
That's
She
amazing.
is director of like the customer experience.
Yep.
or,
She's been
director.
really quiet. Did you turn her mic on or
Well,
what?
I wasn't trying to silence her, but I didn't know if she. It was
This
my
is
bad. I'm
sexist.
rude. I didn't ask you.
And she's not shy at all.
Hit your mic. Yeah, that's right. You
There you
talk.
go.
Pull it up. I'm sorry. I'm a.
And she can
I'm
audit
a
me real quick.
POS.
So how
Jeez.
much of what I said today was absolute bullshit and how much was on par?
I would say most of it was on par. There's maybe a little bit of bullshit, but that's typical.
No, that's good. I like how
Don't let the
honest she
facts get in
is.
the way of a good story, man.
No, no,
Exactly.
absolutely not. You gotta,
100%. Yeah,
you
exactly.
gotta exaggerate some points.
Just
right?
imagine it's real, you know?
Does your where you live in the hotel? Do the properties like adjoin?
They touch, yeah. So
Oh, that's
the hotel itself is 15 acres, 4 facilities, and then the 5 acres next to it came up for sale with an older home that we've completely renovated that we were just going to roll into the lodge property. But then we're like,
How
hey,
cool
let's
is
give it
that,
a
dude?
shot
Sick.
to live up here in the
So you
mountains.
just walk right over to
Dude,
the.
that is.
It's a steep walk. We call my home base camp, and then the mountaintop lodge is on the top of the mountain. It's a steep.
Do you have obviously beautiful views? Is it?
Man,
just,
we've got deer everywhere. The views at the top in the winter is a 180 panoramic of the
Oh,
Appalachian
that's what I was
Mountains.
gonna
The
ask.
Appalachian Mountains, the Blue Ridge.
That's
gorgeous.
like, oh,
Dude,
that's my dream.
dream.
That's awesome.
Dream.
Do you have like some side by sides and stuff like going around the property? Some like 4-wheelers or razors?
Not yet.
Oh,
Yeah, not-
Our
yet.
general manager and head chef, who's a
Gun
cordon
range.
bleu, he wants a gun range. He wants
Axe throwing.
axe throwing. He also wants all the ATVs.
Does every time
That's
you walk
amazing.
past him, does he go gun range?
Yes, he does.
Sharpening an axe. You know what I need.
And Erica's actually a classically trained som as well, so she
Oh,
wants
amazing.
vineyard.
Amazing.
I would settle for a distillery. That works too.
What's your favorite California cab?
Oh, that's a good
Mm.
question.
I do enjoy Farniente.
Okay. Yeah, Farniente's
That's
good.
bougie.
Yeah.
It is a little bougie. The Aperture
That's
You like-
amazing.
is
Aperture?
quite
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
I'm like, is you got what
I'm more of an
language are
old
y'all
world kind of
speaking?
gal, though. I appreciate all the wines, but usually my heart's an old world style wines. So I
So
love
what
a good
side of the river do you
Burgundy,
like?
That's
Bordeaux.
fancy for France,
Ooh, I
and
like Left
Italy, and
Yeah, Left
Spain.
Bank.
What the hell are y'all? What side of the world? On what river? I mean, like, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Old world, new
In
world?
France, there's a very important river.
Yes.
All right. Is it the Nile? No, I'm playing.
She can tell you about it.
No, I mean, like, yeah, I'm like, huh? What are y'all talking about? This is not language that I normally am around. My wife's like, hey, will you pick me up something? And I'm like, and I pick her up something. She's like, you got me the nastiest fucking wine. I'm like, I don't fucking know.
She go to Pepe, dude.
They come in a box.
No, it wasn't that bad. No, I mean, whatever. I said,
Hey.
it was 1999. What do you want me to fucking say? I don't know.
It was a good year.
It was. It said that's what it should be called. It was a good year.
That'd be a good name for a wine.
Yeah, it would. It was yeah, that's what I'm
It's actually
saying.
pretty crazy.
Yeah,
There's some business idea there.
It was a good year. Every year. It's like, what is it? Going out of business? They're always going out of
Yeah.
business.
Free beer tomorrow.
Yeah.
The sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Love
that's
that.
awesome. Tommy Breedlove, thank you so much for coming in.
Yeah, man,
your
this has
book
been awesome, guys.
is
Thank you.
legendary. Check him out at TommyBreedlove.com. And if you want to know about his retreats, some of these things, these legendary life mastermind groups, you actually have to be invited.
That's correct. That's correct. But you can come do a retreat, an adventure experience.
And they might consider you.
There you go. Or we do a big business event every year, Your Life, Your Legends, coming up in Tampa. I'm excited about that, man.
That's awesome.
cool,
So
yeah.
you guys have got, which is it what hotel's it at?
It's at the Limited in Tampa. That place is sweet. No,
Really?
the Tampa edition.
Tampa edition, yes.
Yes. Thank God she's on the mic now, man. This is what I need to
Giving
get
out
into.
the wrong information.
Yes.
I would have said the
La
Holiday Inn.
Quinta. Wondering, like, where's Tommy?
I'm here for the event. Sorry, sir. There's no
Breedlove's
event here.
supposed to be in the house. Where is he? Once again, thank you so much for coming in. Ben, anything else?
No, I'm good. Thank you guys both for coming in. It's
Yeah,
been
it was
a
great.
pleasure.
It was a
to,
lot of fun.
digest all the information that you put out there in your book. Everything is amazing. Love what you're doing. Look forward to
Visiting at the
hopefully
lodge,
getting
man.
involved. I'm going to come up and visit the lodge.
Yeah,
and
man.
We got lots to talk about. So
Love that,
I'm
brother.
super excited.
Yeah.
Love that. You guys are the best.
Thank you, guys.
Fu Media.